15-game NBA slate. Really? Really? And can you tell me why we have games every 15 minutes? I'm literally not, you cannot even put your phone down for a second tomorrow. I mean, come on. And then no games Tuesday. Ugh, I hate this. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it, guys. I'm not looking forward to it. But yeah, really quick before we jump into the video, if you guys are new, welcome. Again, we'll be talking about the 15-game NBA main slate here. Also do make content for NFL DFS and for Prize Picks. Prize Picks, they are the sponsor of the video. If you guys are not familiar, it is a player prop site where you can pick 2, 3, 4, up to 5 player props. You want to win up to 10 extra money. You can take over-unders on like points, rebounds, assists, PRA, three-pointers made, fantasy points, turnovers. A lot of different ways you can play. Also a lot of different sports. You can also mix and match. So if you guys are a first-time user, you can take advantage of my code DKDFS. That'll give you a 100% match up to $100. Basically, you deposit $100 with my code. That's a free $100 to play with on the site. So give it a try again if you guys are a new user. And if you're looking for premium content, you can check my Patreon. That is linked down below. And recapping my lineup here from tonight. So it was a solid night, only a 3-game slate. A little bit tilted, about 2% Beasley, going for like 0.5 fantasy points per minute. Come on, man. Come on. Give me a normal game from Beasley, an average game, and I'm probably right at the top. Well, his first place in this contest was 303. I was, what, 282? So give me like 25, 30. I'm right at the top of the leaderboard, but ugh, come on, man. Come on. I'll go over the rest of my lineup. So I went to Van Fleet and Barnes. Obviously, there's no Pascal Siakam. Chris Boucher was fine. Don't get me started in the Christian Coloco 22-block game. We'll cover that because Toronto plays Chicago again tomorrow. Clarkson, for some reason, didn't close. I got him at low ownership. He was smashing, just didn't close, so I didn't understand that. Sexton was a guy that I was very high on for value. He did well. Markkanen was fine, and then obviously Beasley was disappointing in the starting lineup. So that's the recap. Was still a solid night. Cashed in all my tournaments. So hoping to keep going here for this 15-game slate. All right, so Washington, Charlotte's the first game. This is a game that does look pretty appealing. You got two teams that don't play much defense. Brad Beal, don't think he'll be available. He's in the health and safety protocols and was out for the game today. So my guess is that we won't see Beal. Now, Kristaps Porzingis, he's 7.7K. He had a bad game at massive ownership tonight, so maybe that will lower his ownership tomorrow. But still, like, I love targeting bigs against the Hornets. If there's no Beal, like, I'm fine going to Porzingis. I mean, we talked about this in the Patreon stream, how I didn't really agree with the ownership tonight. Like, DeRozan being way more popular than Vooch, I didn't get that. I played Vooch over DeRozan. I didn't get why Porzingis was like so much more popular than Kuzma too. There's just a lot of things that like didn't make sense, and we took advantage of that in GPPs. But yeah, back to the rest of Washington. So Kuzma, I mean he was fine. He didn't have like a great game, but he did do better point per dollar than Porzingis. And then Monte Morris, I do kind of like at 4.8K if there's no Beal. He played 33 minutes. Again, he's gonna have to do a little bit more offensively. Will Barton didn't play as much as I thought. Still saw 24 minutes though off the bench. You did see Corey Kispert start. He played 24 minutes. He's fine, but he's a very low usage guy. If you want to take shots like Rui or Denny, you can, but I don't know if it's necessary in this slate. And then we did see them dust off Jordan Goodwin. He played 26 minutes. He played well, too. I just don't know if we can expect that type of run again from Jordan Goodwin or even that type of performance, so I don't necessarily trust it. On the Charlotte side, so Hayward's still out, LaMelo Ball still out, Cody Martin is doubtful, and I don't think we'll see Dennis Smith Jr., but he's questionable. He left the game last game with an ankle injury. So the guy that's easy to talk about is Terry Rozier. I do like him quite a bit. First came back, he played 36 minutes. There's no sort of a limit on Terry Rozier. And yeah, I like him a good amount here. I think Kelly Oubre's fine for tournaments. He's a guy that minutes at times can be a little bit shaky, but he'll still get a lot of shots up. PJ Washington's kind of just there. I mean, he'll play big minutes. He's shown a upside. Plumlee, Richards, they'll split the 7 minutes. They're both fine. McDaniels was fine last game. He was awful at really high ownership a couple games before. I got lucky with that fade because McDaniels was a good play a couple games ago. And again, I got lucky with fading him. But not a ton else that I'm interested in the Charlotte side. Houston and Orlando. So Sengun dealt with some foul trouble, but still in 20 minutes, went for 32 fantasy points. You see what happens when you give Sengun more minutes. He's the best player on the team. We've been talking about this all season. Play him more. Finally played over 30 minutes, went for almost 50 fantasy points. All right, play him more. Yeah, Sengun stays out of foul trouble. I like him quite a bit there. The two guards in Green and KPJ are fine. Green's been shooting really, really, really bad. Kevin Porter Jr. has a little bit of a higher floor. Jabari Smith, I'll pass another price point. Kind of takes Martin out of play. Eric Gordon's just there. Easton, okay, here we go again, right? I know I have the same conversation every time we talk about Houston, but let's just look at last game. Oh, so the minutes, ticked up the last couple games for Tari Eason, huh? 18 minutes, 24 fantasy points, and then 24 minutes, 30 fantasy points. Can you tell me why we're playing Eric Gordon 35 minutes a night? Coaches, man. Orlando, so I do like the matchup for Orlando. The issue is, everyone's kind of priced up. So, Banchero, 8.7, that feels priced about right. Wendell Carter Jr., 7.5, and feels right. Same with Franz Wagner. Bull did play a lot more. I was very tilted by the Golden State game. They played 19 minutes. Next game played 37. Again, that did go to overtime. But, all the main Magic guys just feel priced right. Jalen Suggs at 5'8". We do have Terrence Ross back. We'll see if he shifts to the bench, but if Suggs continues to start, he would probably be my favorite play on the Magic side. Okiki had that really big game a couple games ago. He kind of came back down to earth. Again, he probably loses some minutes with Terrence Ross back. So let's move on to Oklahoma City and Detroit. You guys know my thoughts on this rotation. Thankfully, it's a big slate, and we don't really have to mess with it. But Thunder on a small slate, it just causes me so much pain. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 9.4. Solid spend up. He had a really bad game last game, but I would say that's more of an outlier. He's been super consistent outside of that last game. Giddey, 6.9, should play low 30s minutes. I think he's fine, as is Dort. Pokusevski's out, so you think, maybe we can play Darius Bazley. No. They just add 15 guys, and so annoying. Listen, if you want to take a GPP dart on any of these other guys like Mann, Williams, Bazley, Robinson, Earl, Wiggins, Kentrell Williams, Muscala, go for it. Go for it. You can't trust the minutes. There's no rhyme or reason. I'm not going to mess with it on this slate. Detroit, Cade Cunningham, 7.7. So this is, two not so great teams going up against each other. You would think it does stay competitive. I do like the ceiling, Cade Cunningham. He's done a decent job of staying out of foul trouble this year, but not in the preseason when I played him all the time. He kept getting in massive foul trouble. This grouping of Ivy, Bogdanovich, Stewart, and Bayer all kind of just there. Bagley and Burks did practice. They could be back. That could just, make the rotation a bit riskier, targeting these secondary options. As always, we'll talk about Killian Hayes, who is the worst player in the NBA. New Orleans and the Pacers. Zion Williamson, he has a Q tag, but it looks like it's just a cramping issue, so he should be fine. It's a good matchup here. If you want to target any of Zion, CJ, or Ingram in tournaments, you can, but there's no standouts for me. If I had to pick my favorite, probably would be Zion. JV, the minutes are down on him. They're closing a lot of games with Nance. A lot of these other guys are priced up from when the Pelicans were shorthanded, so not much else interested there. On the Indiana side, Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, the main guys I'm looking to. Halliburton, 8.5, does still have a ceiling, but at this price point, I don't think it's a smash spot. Buddy Hield, the minutes have ticked way up on him. Earlier in the season, he was at times high 20s, even in the teens minutes, but last 3 games, 38, 36, and 40 minutes. So if you're going to give me this type of run for Buddy Hield, I think he's certainly in play at that price point. Mathurin minutes, have been a little bit up and down too, but if you told me Mathurin's going to play 37 minutes, I would like him a lot. So he's in play for GPPs. Miles Turner, the minutes have been a little bit shaky too. For some reason, he played 20 minutes there against Brooklyn. Next game, though, he did play 31. So if you give me 30 minutes of Miles Turner, I do think he's a bit underpriced. Jalen Smith only played 11 minutes last game. This is what I'm talking about. You cannot trust this Rick Carlisle rotation either. So Duarte's out. We'll see what they do the starting lineup. McConnell, 3-3. I mean, McConnell did play 23 minutes last game. I think he's a little bit interesting at that price, but it's just so hard to trust these secondary options in the Pacers because Carlisle, again, the rotation's basically the Thunder rotation. You can't trust it. Phoenix and Philadelphia. So on the Phoenix side, I don't think there's any standouts here. Joel Embiid on the opposite side is questionable. Now, if Joel Embiid misses, I would like DeAndre Ayton because then I wouldn't really have to worry about foul issues, and Ayton should be able to feast against Montrezl Harrell. So if there's no Embiid, I would like Ayton a good amount. Chris Paul, Booker are both fine options, no priorities. Bridges feels priced about right. Cam Johnson's going to be out for a while. So Torrey Craig started last game, played 22 minutes again. The game was a massive blowout. He probably would have played, close to 30 minutes. I think Torrey Craig's a solid value. I don't think we can expect 3 blocks and a steal again from him, though. If Cam Payne's out, you probably do get a little bit more run for guys like Damian Lee and Shamet. 3-4, 3-2. Yeah, they're playable as punt plays. On the Philadelphia side, so Joel Embiid, Doc Rivers, or Glenn Rivers, I should say, said they'll give him a 75% chance of being available. So he should play here if he does, and there's no limit. I do like the ceiling quite a bit on Embiid with no Harden. And then the secondary options, Maxey, Harris, Melton. If Embiid plays, these guys feel priced about right, I would say. I don't think there's any like standouts. Now, if Embiid misses, I think Maxey, Harris, and Melton would all be a bit underpriced. So that's definitely big news to keep an eye on. And Harrell started last game with Embiid out, and he played 29 minutes. So Harrell would be another solid value there, too. I don't really know if I want to mess with the bench, though, on the 76ers. They're giving the starters a lot of run. Milwaukee and Atlanta. So Giannis Antetokounmpo missed last game, but looks like he will be back. He's probable. I like him as a spend up. If you feel comfortable with enough value plays, totally fine with Giannis. Can we talk about this? I'm a little bit tilted about this. Jrue Holiday, so you're telling me with Giannis in the lineup, he's going to go for 66, 52, 40, and 54 fantasy points. But in one of the best possible spots against the Thunder with no Giannis, you're telling me he's going, why did he only play? I guess the game was a blowout. I don't know. I was just tilted about that the Holiday faders got away with it. The Portis faders did not, though. Portis faders were punished last game, but if Giannis is back, he feels a little bit pricey. Brook Lopez, I still think is a decent option at 5'8". He should play, probably around 30 minutes. I'm not messing with the value here for Milwaukee in this slate. On the Atlanta side, keep an eye on Trae Young news. He's questionable. If he misses, DeJounte Murray would be underpriced here, would be leaned on heavily for the offense. And then John Collins would probably have to do a bit more offensively. He would look good. I would even have interest in DeAndre Hunter if there's no Trae Young. And most likely, I would think it would be Aaron Holiday that would pick up the start. If that's the case, he would be a solid value at 3-2. So definitely keep an eye on the Trae news. If Trae plays, I don't think there's any standouts. Obviously, the two guards are in play for tournaments. Capella had a massive game last game, but you did have Okongwu foul trouble. So if you go to Capella, kind of feels like a chase. Not saying he's out of play, but do not expect 50-plus fans once again from Capella. Portland, Miami. So Portland, there's a lot of question marks here. Lillard, questionable. Simon's doubtful. Hart, Winslow both sound like they will play. It's a tough matchup. If Lillard plays, I don't know if there's any standouts. If Lillard misses, then yes, you can start looking at guys like Winslow and Hart, Grant, Nurkic. The Nurkic minutes have really been pissing me off recently. I know last game was a blowout, but the minutes have ticked down on him for some reason when he was playing 30-plus minutes a game, and just frustrating no end. And yeah, if there's no Lillard, can you consider a guy Keon Johnson? Sure, but he played a lot more last game because of the blowout. On the Miami side, so we do have Jimmy Butler back. Tyler Hero questionable, though. If Hero misses, you probably see Strus in the starting lineup, who at 5.6K I think would be an okay option. And then you probably would just get, a little bit more run for guys like Vincent, Duncan Robinson, even, Martin. But if Hero plays, I don't think there's any standouts. I like the matchup, but kind of everyone would just be secondary options. Toronto and Chicago. So no Siakam. I do like the Toronto side a good amount here. I mean, they're just playing their guys huge minutes. Van Fleet played 39 minutes. I think he looks really good. I still like Scotty Barnes, who played 40 minutes. OG Anunoby, I guess, is just going to average 20 steals a game from here on out. 6, 5, 5, and 3 steals over the last 3 games. He's also playing massive minutes, though. Gary Trent Jr., this guy's such a frustrating roster. He only played 21 minutes. That was the first time you saw, really low minutes on Gary Trent. So this is what tilts me. Christian Coloco, come on. 6 blocks, and you play him 31 minutes. Now, here's the thing. I think Toronto's going to go with a hot hand situation here. So in tournaments, if everyone's going to go to Coloco tomorrow, I'm just going to go to Boucher or Achua. I don't trust the minutes. I know he played 31 minutes last game. I don't trust it. He played 12 minutes the game before. I'm sure there was some foul trouble, but So Coloco's fine, but I do think he'll probably be a bit overowned. If he's in fact going to be popular, again, I would rather go to Boucher or Achua for a little bit more, who probably come in at less ownership. Achua surprisingly only played 14 minutes though. Again, I do think they're kind of go to the hot hand situation. Otto Porter Jr. played 19 minutes. He's fine at 3.6. But really the bigs, again, Boucher, Achua, Coloco. We'll see if the ownership comes in on them, but if everyone's going to play Coloco, I'm just going to go Boucher. Chicago, so Levine missed the game today due to rest. I think he'll be back for this game, so I don't think we had to really worry about the value too much. Caruso had a massive game tonight, went for 42 fantasy points, but with Levine back, he just becomes a secondary option. Dragic probably loses a couple minutes, still be playable at 3-4, but yeah, outside of that, I mean, DeRozan, Vooch, Levine, they're all kind of just secondary plays for me. Boston and Memphis, so Tatum, Brown, they're both playable here. I don't think either are a priority for me, but both these guys do have a ceiling. Brown 8.4 might be a little bit easier to get to than 10.2K for Tatum. Smart, Horford, Brogdon, this group in the mid-range all kind of look like secondary options as well. Brogdon's been playing very well off the bench. I think he should be playing more minutes for this team, but that's just my opinion. Derek White, 4-5. I think I would just rather go to Smart or Brogdon for a little bit more. On the Memphis side, so Ja went to the locker room tonight, but he did end up returning. What's annoying me about Ja is the minutes. Like, they're just not playing him a lot of minutes right now. They're playing him like 30 to 33 minutes a game. Like, play him 36 to 38 minutes a game. So at the moment, he's nothing more than a tournament play. Bane feels priced about right, as does Brooks. Adams also was in the locker room for a while, but he ended up returning. He plays. He's fine at that price. Santa Claus at 4-5. He played 27 minutes. He does feel a little too cheap. If Adams doesn't play, then Brandon Clark probably sees more run. He would be a solid value there at 4-2. Moving on to New York and Minnesota. So what really surprised me last game was how many minutes Isaiah Hartenstein played. So Mitch Robinson's out. I'm like, okay. They're going up against, Horford is out. So it's kind of like a small ball team. I'm like, all right, you're probably going to get like mid-20s minutes for Hartenstein. He played 38 minutes. So Hartenstein's a solid point per minute guy. And this is a bigger match now against Minnesota. So I think really your only concern about Hartenstein is potential foul trouble against Cat. If Hartenstein stays out of foul trouble and he plays 38 minutes again, I really, really like him. Randall, Brunson, Barrett, all solid plays. You did see Randall's minutes tick up as well. He played 40 minutes. Jalen Brunson had a solid game in 33 minutes. Barrett was decent as well. You did see Cam Reddish start. He played a ton, 37 minutes, but went for 13 fancy points. Evan Fournier was almost been pushed out of this rotation. Toppin got a little bit of small ball run. He played 15 minutes. He's an okay contrarian value, as is Emmanuel Quickly. On the Minnesota side, Gobert is still out, so Karl-Anthony Towns, 10K, I like him. The price did come up on him, but I still think he's probably a little bit too cheap for his role without Gobert, so do like Cat a good amount there at the top. Edwards and D'Lo are both kind of just there for me. Value-wise for Minnesota's, how about this too? We get news, I don't know, when was it, like an hour before lock, that, okay, with Rudy Gobert out, it's going to be either Taurean Prince or Naz Reid that picks up the start. I'm like, oh, nice, I think there's a decent chance it's going to be Naz Reid. I'm going to stick with Naz Reid. But I guess, it could be Prince. Starting lineup comes out. It's Kyle Anderson, the starting lineup. Like, why would you say it's going to be Naz Reid or Taurean Prince? Another just flat out lie. I don't like when coaches lie. But yeah, keep an eye on the starting lineup. Kyle Anderson started last game. He was solid in 31 minutes. If he starts again, good value. I wouldn't mind, though, Naz Reid still. He got massive foul trouble. I stuck with him last slate at low ownership. It tilted me beyond belief. Fouled out in 13 minutes, but he's a really good point per minute guy. And he can play a bit alongside Cat, too. So I'm intrigued by Naz Reid in tournaments if everyone's going to go slow-mo. And then Taurean Prince also saw 32 minutes. So yeah, the group of like slow-mo, Prince, Naz Reid, I think are all solid values here without Gobert. Denver and San Antonio. So Jokic 11-6. I think is an okay spend up, but I think I'd rather get to Giannis if I'm going to go all the way to the top. MPJ, Murray, Gordon, all decent options in the mid-range. Murray probably being my favorite. He probably plays low 30s minutes. KCP, just there for me. Bones Highland had a huge game off the bench in 25 minutes. He's always fine for GPP. So the price point at almost 5K, tough to prioritize that. On the Spurs side, nothing that stands out to me, to be honest. Vassell's been playing well off the bench. He might move in the starting lineup. If you want to target any of the top four guys, you could. But again, there's nothing that really stands out there. Collins is questionable if he misses. He probably gets some backup run for Roby and Jang, but I don't know if it's enough for me to consider them. But there's not a ton of love on the Spurs. Brooklyn and Dallas. So Kevin Durant, that game really, really tilted me. And you had, a couple people on Twitter that were like, oh yeah, Kevin Durant at 10.6K against Charlotte. Guys, that was such an easy fade. It was a back-to-back. DK played Kevin Durant in a back-to-back. Such an easy fade. You know what I always say to those people that after the fact, I'm like, you know what? Hey, congrats on your takedown, man. Congrats on your takedown. But yeah, whatever. Kevin Durant, 11-1 is still a good option. I know Dallas is solid defensively, but he is the offense. So I do like Kevin Durant. We'll keep an eye on Ben Simmons news. If he misses, it's going to kind of solidify the minutes for Nick Claxton, who dealt with some foul trouble, but would be a decent option there at that price point. And now you have seen Cam Thomas in the rotation. He played 29 minutes too. And I was like surprised he wasn't in the rotation early in the year. Like, why were we playing Edmund Sumner, Patty Mills, and David Duke over Cam Thomas? Cam Thomas is a good player. He's a good scorer. And this team needs scoring right now. They need scoring. KD needs help. So Cam Thomas came off the bench, and yeah, he's played well last couple games. I'm intrigued by him for GPPs. Royce O'Neal's fine. Seth Curry, the minutes are not there on him right now. Joe Harris also played pretty decent minutes, but he feels priced about right. Sumner started, played 18 minutes. I think I would rather take the shot on Cam Thomas, to be honest. All right, on the Dallas side, so love the matchup here for Luka. Again, it just comes down to, are you comfortable with enough value on this 15-game slate? But love Luka there at the top. Wood at 6'4". The price has come down on him. It's just the minutes, right? He's only playing like low to mid-20s minutes, so... but I think he's playable in a tournament. Now, what I do want to mention here, Spencer Dinwiddie's minutes have really ticked up over the last couple games. 35, 32, 35, 38 minutes last game. So if we're going to get like mid-30s minutes from Spencer Dinwiddie, I think he's a decent option in the mid-range. If you want to take shots in the likes of like DFS and Hardaway, Bullock, Kleber, you can. I don't think there's any standouts there. I mean, like DFS and Bullock are going to play big minutes, but they're literally just like standing in the corner, not doing anything. Hardaway, the minutes have ticked down a bit on him, but he does have a ceiling. He knocks down the shots. I don't hate him at the price point. He just, again, if he's missing his shots, he has a low floor. Maxi Kleber did only play 17 minutes last game, but he's always a guy that can find his way into 25 to 30 minutes. Sacramento and Golden State. So De'Aaron Fox, 8.9K. I do like the matchup quite a bit here for the Kings. So I played 40 minutes again in overtime, so 35 in regulation. I think Fox is a solid play, and what do you know? It's a bonus. Stayed out of foul trouble last couple games. 50 plus fancy points. If he stays out of foul trouble, I like him quite a bit here in an up-tempo game against the Warriors, who have been struggling against bigs. So Fox is a bonus. I do like there at the top. The minutes have been shaky in Keegan Murray, though, mid-20s over the last couple games. So that does worry me a bit. Herter, Barnes, both decent options in the mid-range. I expect, low 30s minutes for both those guys. Malik Monk at 4-4 played 28 minutes off the bench. He's always a guy that does have a ceiling, so like him for GPPs. Moving on to Golden State. So they still have Q-Tags and Wiggins and Curry, but I expect both those guys to play. Like Steph at the top in GBPs. I think Wiggins at 7K is a pretty solid option. Poole, with everyone back, does feel a bit too pricey. I do like Draymond and Clay, too. Like, Draymond played 30 minutes last game. I think that's a solid price point for him. Klay Thompson, we finally saw the big game from him in 34 minutes. So both Clay and Draymond, I do think, are a little bit too cheap. Kevon Looney, if he stays out of foul trouble, should play mid-20s minutes. I think he's a relatively safe value play. Don't really know if I'm going to be messing with any of the value, though, for Golden State. All right, we got a couple games left. Lakers and Jazz. LeBron, AD. I do prefer the price in AD to LeBron. Both guys should play a lot of minutes, so yeah, AD is solid. Westbrook's been really playing well off the bench, and again, they should have been doing this all year. I don't know why he originally started, but I do think he's a solid tournament play. Lonnie Walker dealt with some foul trouble, 5.3K. He should bounce back to like 30-ish minutes. Beverly missed last game. They started Kendrick Nunn, but he did nothing in his minutes in 18 minutes, shot 0 of 5. I'm surprised. I thought Nunn was being a decent part of this rotation. He has been awful this year. Like, he was solid in the preseason, too. I know it's preseason, but yeah, he's been really, really, really bad. Troy Brown, Austin Reeves, 3.8 and 3.6. They're both solid values. Troy Brown, low usage guy, but he should play somewhere in the neighborhood of like 25-ish minutes. And Austin Reeves has been seeing like 25 to 30 minutes off the bench. Both those guys, again, are playing. On the Jazz side, keep an eye on Vanderbilt news. If Vanderbilt misses, I do think, boosts the appeal a bit of kind of everyone on this team, just feeling a little bit confident about, everyone else's, probably a little more usage for guys like Markkanen, Clarkson, Conley, Olynyk, and then just a few extra minutes probably for guys like Sexton and Beasley. Beasley started last game, so I don't know if there's any standout plays here for Utah. But yeah, Markkanen, Clarkson, these guys should lead the offense. Markkanen is the guy with the highest ceiling. Clarkson was on pace for a huge game, then never came back, which again tilts me tonight. Conley, that's fine. Olynyk, if he can, he's just always in foul trouble, man. He was once again in foul trouble today. If you played him, I feel for you. He's just such a, he's literally been in foul trouble like 75% of the time. I do like Colin Sexton quite a bit, though. He's been playing like 30 minutes a game off the bench. He is too cheap. He should be like a 5.5K player right now. So I still like Sexton quite a bit. Beasley started and did nothing for me tonight at 2% ownership. But if he starts again, yeah, you can definitely fire up some Malik Beasley. Kessler played a little bit more, but I don't know if it's necessary to go to him. So let's finish up with Cleveland and the Clippers. So Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell, 9.2. Obviously still has a ceiling, but I much, much prefer the price point on Darius Garland. 6.9K, played 39 minutes last game. Yeah, I like Darius Garland a lot. I think he's about $1,000 too cheap, so I really like him. LeVert, thankfully, we don't have to deal with him. Allen and Mobley both feel priced about right. Love's always in play for tournaments. He had like a triple-double a couple games ago. But, yeah, I mean, what I like about Kevin Love is just, like, he can be super, super productive in his minutes. And he finds his way into like 25 minutes, he can have a really, really good game. No, we don't have to deal with the likes of like Chetty or Dean Wade or Rule Neto. And finally, the Clippers. So tougher spot here against Cleveland. Paul George, 9-3, I think is a solid tournament play. Wouldn't call him a priority, but he's their go-to guy for sure. Big Zubac, I mean, this is a huge front court. So if he stays out of foul trouble, I would think he probably plays 30 to 35 minutes. Do like his ceiling. Morse has been playing a lot. I think he's fine in the mid-range. Reggie Jackson was horrific tonight. Absolutely horrific. It's a back-to-back, so maybe John Wall rests, though. So keep an eye on that. If he does, you should feel comfortable with the minutes of Reggie Jackson, who, again, they don't know the stats update. I don't know what he finished with, but it was like really, really bad. They started Terrence Mann with Luke Kennard out. I thought they would go Powell, but they started Terrence Mann. He's only 3-3. If he starts again, yes, he's playable. If you want to take a shot in Powell for tournaments, sure. But yeah, that's really it. So that's 15 games up, 15 games down. I know it was a little bit quick, but tried to get through all these games in a reasonable time. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap it up for the video. So again, if you do enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I'll see you all in the next video.